Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Lazio Lounge. I'm Vittorio Campanile. I want to apologize for last episode against Napoli. This time is unbelievable, I know, but it was my fault, not Alistair McKenzie. I didn't have a very good internet connection, so couldn't record the podcast. So I apologize for that, and thanks, Alistair, to joining me tonight in another disappointment performance for Lazio. Alistair, what's your thought?
Yeah, very disappointing. It's four defeats from the last five games now, so it's starting to become quite hard to even find positives from these performances. And I feel particularly bad for you having taken time out of your nice ski holiday to watch this and talk about it.
Yeah, what I was thinking is probably 2 months ago this match would have finished 3-0 for Lazio. Instead, tonight finished 1-0 for Steaua. I mean, Lazio didn't play that bad, had plenty of chances, but simply the ball didn't want to go in. And first chance the other team had, they scored. And this is happening very often, I would say, in the last couple of weeks or so.
Well, I wouldn't put tonight down to bad luck, actually. I think Lazio were far from their best tonight. There was just so many errors, so many individual errors. You know, the passing was shocking. There was just so many incomplete passes, individual mistakes all around the pitch, and it would be easy at this point, I think, to just say effectively what Iwitare said before the game, and that there's a big turnover of players. It's essentially a B team. It's the team that got through the group stage, but that's kind of missing the point, which is that there's still a lot of key players in that team. You know, the likes of Lucas, Milinkovic-Savic, Strakosha, Immobile when he came on as well, and these guys just aren't performing at the moment. They're really a shadow of their form that we saw in the first half of the season. So I think the problems here from this game tonight go a bit deeper than just it being a second team in a European game.
Yeah, I totally agree. We have to say that Basta today was simply embarrassing. I think he didn't make nothing wrong tonight, and as I was saying before, you know, the only cross he put right, Milinkovic-Savic incredibly put the ball wide in a huge chance he had. You know, this tells you a little bit. I mean, Basta was playing well a couple of months ago, and tonight was simply terrible. Again, I don't know who played instead of Milinkovic-Savic tonight, because it wasn't him. I don't remember a right pass from Milinkovic-Savic. This is simply unbelievable from a player like that. Too many mistakes. And the bigger question is, at this point, after 3 defeats in a row, was it the right decision to make Lazio B play tonight, or was it important to win and to gain confidence again and play with the starters?
Yeah, I think it is, and I think it's fair enough to play a second string team in the group stage when you feel like you can get through those games and get results in them with your second choice 11. But you know, tonight there was still a lot of important players in that team, but I want to see Lazio. I know that this isn't a popular view necessarily for a lot of fans, but I want to see Lazio do well and represent themselves well in Europe, because that's where a lot of people, and I suppose the global Lazio fans will sympathise with this. That's where a lot of people get to watch us who don't watch Serie A. And I want this club to actually perform well on the European stage so that people can actually see what kind of a team that we've become this season, which we're not getting by putting out that team tonight. Putting Caicedo and Nani together up front was an utter disaster. I mean, there's serious problems in defence, and that combination as an attack just doesn't work. So what you saw tonight is just not really a true reflection of this Lazio team. But you're right, it's becoming a bit of a concern that the form has dipped so badly. So I probably would have liked to see Inzaghi put out as strong a team as possible tonight, just so they, like you say, could actually remember what it feels like to win a game.
Yeah, we had a discussion today with with you about Caicedo and Nani. You were saying Nani was terrible. I was saying that Caicedo has been awful. He had a couple of very good chances in the first half and missed it badly. I thought Nani started well and then dipped a little bit. I also believe he wasn't happy with the subs, but honestly, I understand why Inzaghi made those substitutions. Lazio needed to win, and both the two strikers weren't playing that well, so it makes sense. But of the two players coming in, only Felipe Anderson played well, and it's really important to see him playing that well. Immobile didn't do nothing tonight. He didn't have that many chances, but I don't want to say he was invisible, but nearly.
I think Ciro has been one of the most worrying predicaments of this kind of dip in form, actually, is since he's come back from his injury, we haven't seen the same, deep threat coming from him. I mean, beforehand, even if he wasn't scoring all of his chances, he'd be getting into the positions to get these chances all the time, and he's not even been getting shots away, getting chances in recent matches. I think that's a big concern. We spent a lot of time in the first half of the season worrying about what would happen if he got injured. Well, it's actually probably worse than him being out injured if he's on the pitch and contributing nothing. He's obviously by far and away our best striker, but he needs to rediscover his magic a bit, and I don't know whether that's as a result of Alberto's form having dipped, or if he doesn't have the right kind of connection with Anderson yet, or Milinkovic-Savic's form having dipped as well. It just seems like the whole team, just the connection, the kind of chemistry between them is just not what it was, and that's a difficult thing to get back. But I am relieved that the next game is against a struggling Verona team, because that hopefully can be a turning point here, because we've had a few difficult games in this run, it's worth remembering. So if we're going to be positive, then maybe that's one thing to look at, is that the next game's a bit easier.
Yeah, that's something that we didn't mention. Against Milan at San Siro, Lazio don't win till last time they won was 1989. Genoa at home away against Lazio usually wins. We don't even know how. Against Napoli at San Paolo, Lazio doesn't win till last time was with the Pioli for the third spot in the Champions League. So these are tough matches. But yeah, there have been some problems. We have to be honest, and we said it. Even against Spal when Lazio won 5-2, the team didn't perform really well, but won anyway. I think it's important to see Felipe Anderson playing like that after what happened in the last week. I really was impressed by his performance. He created a couple of very good chances. Again, usually 2 months ago, he would put it in the box and Ciro Immobile would have scored, or Milinkovic. Instead, this time didn't happen, so that's a concern. But yeah, I think this is really a key moment. This is the first time Simone Inzaghi has a team that is struggling, that comes out of 4 defeats. So we're going to see if these are a bunch of men or simply guys that doesn't know how to react at the first problem they have.
I'm interested to hear you. I wanted to ask you about that anyway. Anderson, obviously a lot has happened within the last week since we did our last show, with Anderson being dropped for the Napoli game, training by himself, and so I think we really did want to see a reaction from him tonight coming off the bench. And I'm not quite as positive as you are about it. I thought he did create a couple of really good chances, but on the whole, I wasn't totally convinced by him tonight. But I think I wanted to see him come on with really, really wanting to prove a point. And I think he still gives off that attitude as the same attitude he gave off before, which seemed to anger Inzaghi so much, where he didn't really seem too bothered. But he is a dangerous player, we saw that with the particularly when he came in from the left to set up that ridiculous chance. I mean, that's the other thing we need to talk about is Cáceres has managed to basically score, and then his defensive instincts take hold, and he clears it off the line himself by the looks of things. I mean, that was completely bizarre, but that says a lot about what's happening with Lazio at the moment.
I still can't understand it, And Basta as well had an incredible chance. Casado had an amazing chance in the first half. I mean, that's simply impossible to don't score with all those chances. The thing of Cáceres, I don't know. Maybe he was trying to stand up and moving his right leg. He kicked the ball off the goal, and that's simply unbelievable. Like to be honest, it's unbelievable. The Steaua goal. It was a corner kick from Lazio. Caicedo made a mistake. Counter-attack. It looks like Nani recovered the ball. Instead, he missed it, and they score. It's simply you wouldn't believe it if I was telling you and you didn't watch the match. You thought it was a joke. So something incredible happened tonight. I don't want to say that Lazio didn't play that bad, or I honestly think Lazio should have won this match, but bad luck, bad performance didn't allow Lazio to win it. So I don't know. We are getting a lot of tweets complaining about our defense today. Honestly, I don't think the defense was so bad. I mean, they scored in a counter-attack. Apart from that, they didn't have any chances.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that's kind of promising for the second leg at least, is that Steaua didn't really look like a particularly good team tonight, and Lazio playing that badly and losing just 1-0, and when they've got their home crowd behind them and everything, I think we can still be fairly confident of getting through this tie over 2 legs. But again, I think if we beat Verona on Monday, I would like to see us sticking with the team that wins that game, to try and get a bit of consistency back into the team and back into the selection again. Because it seems like that's the only way of doing this, is raising morale by winning games. And if we manage to beat Verona and then we get knocked out of the Europa League, that's just going to destroy the confidence in the team all over again.
Yeah. The disappointing thing is that Felipe Luis won't play because he got a yellow card. And I thought he had a terrific performance tonight. He was great. Really, really impressive. And let's not forget that he's really young. And again, this was an important match. And every time, at least in the last 3-4 matches he played from the beginning, he has been really, really playing well. Probably always the best in the defense. So that's really encouraging. He won't be playing at home because he got another yellow card, but I thought his performance was really encouraging. If we have to see at least something positive, he was by far the man of the match for me.
Yeah, and not just tonight. I think throughout the whole Europa League campaign so far, he's probably been the standout player for Lazio in terms of what we expected from him at the start and what kind of the level of performance he's provided. He's been really good, really, really, and I think he's become more confident and more comfortable the more he plays as well. So it is a big disappointment to lose him for the second leg. I suppose on the flip side, you do have a ready-made replacement in Stefan de Vrij, who's obviously the first choice, so it's not the end of the world. But it's a shame for him, because that competition is clearly what Inzaghi sees as being his best opportunity to impress, and he has managed to impress a lot.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's probably the place where he can play better. He have more chance to play. So I hope we are going further so he can play there. Honestly, but that's a shame. But we're gonna see what happened. You talk about De Vrij. There have been news on his renewal contracts. It looks like the agency didn't sign because they want 20% of his fee, which is a lot. So that's going to create big problems, I believe.
Yeah, the the sell on the release clause fee. I think I think it would be good to get this wrapped up. We'll all agree on that. But I think if that's the case and that's what's holding it up, Lazio are actually probably right to make sure that they get the deal that they want from this, rather than if it's going to be a release clause that's lower than the value of the player, which it probably will be. That seems like it's going to be the only way of keeping him at Lazio on a contract, is by having quite a low release clause. And if that's the case, I think the club are right to try and make sure they can negotiate a good deal on that, because there's no point in selling him for 20 million, 25 million euros in the next year or two, and then losing a chunk of that money to an agent.
Yeah, it should be like 25 and 6 go to the agent, so it means only 19, which is really not the value of that type of player we're talking about. So, that would be really disappointing. And
yeah, exactly. So I think it's good to get a bit more information on that, instead of just wondering what's happening and how long it's going to take. So at least I think that we still don't have any, real news, but at the same time, it's good to know that the delay is for something that I kind of agree with. It's at least some sort of consolation.
Yeah. We talk about a couple of things. We didn't talk about the midfield that, in the end, was the group that Inzaghi didn't change that much, because Milinkovic was there, Lucas Leivas was there, Lukaku. I don't know if we can say he's a starter, but he was playing. I thought this was the first time Murcia played decently, not great, but not as bad as usual. Don't know if you agree.
Yeah, well, with Murcia, I was really kind of encouraged by the first half anyway, because it was more the kind of style of play that I think suits him best, which is making those runs forward into the box, and he's quite hard for defenders to pick up when he's doing that. And yeah, he made a couple of really good runs. One where he knocked down a header for Caicedo, and he becomes a much more dangerous player when he does that. He had the confidence to take on a couple of shots from range as well. But I was a bit disappointed in the second half that he didn't really continue that. I think his first half was quite promising, and then the second half he kind of dropped off and you didn't see him as much. And I suppose that's one flaw in his game, I think, still, is that he can go missing. He's one of these midfielders who can be a bit anonymous when he decides to be. So I think we kind of saw both sides of his game tonight, I'd say. But again, he's another example of, he's a player we want to see playing more games to help his development. But you've got to take these opportunities to the maximum, and tonight it's just not really what happened.
Yeah, I think one of probably the reason why Lazio is playing that bad is because you have those bunch of players like Lukaku, Milinkovic-Savic recently, Murcia, Immobile, Felipe Anderson, that goes up and down. And, when they are up, they can beat even Juventus at home or away. But when they're down, they can lose against Genoa. And this is just the example we're having. And it's a shame, if you want to compete for the Champions League or things like that, you have to perform to a certain level throughout the season. And we are seeing that at the moment, these players are not able to do it, or at least not now.
Well, it's also our first real test, I think, it's the first real test of the mentality of this team at the moment, because this is the first real drop in form this season. And there was one before Christmas where results weren't really coming our way, but this is different because this is 4 defeats in 5 games. It's got more serious now than it has been before. So I think this is the first real test we've had to see how they cope with that. Obviously, the Felipe Anderson drama we could have done without on the back of all that. So yeah, I think you're right. I think it's a confidence team, this, and it's still a relatively young team as well, or at least has a lot of young players in it. So I think of leading, and for that's been a bit that's necessarily been happening. I think Lucas has been way off the player that he was at the start of the season recently, and we really need him to be right on top of his game when things get difficult. And on top of that, I think Ciro Immobile needs to step up as well, and I think it would calm everyone down, fans and players, if he just started finding the net again and scoring lots of goals. I think it's time for those older players to step up.
Yes, I agree, and I think really that this is the time. We are going to see, today, or better in the next matches, if the team really has the strength. Inzaghi, if he's able to change things, how the players are performing now when things are going bad, to show them that you can perform and improve even after this 4 defeats in a row. Another thing very important is seeing how the other team play against Lazio. Now, if you notice, the teams marks Lucas Leiva much more than before. Before he was more free to move. Now there's always one man near him, and this maybe is affecting Lazio performance.
Yeah, that's true. But I suppose if opposition teams are focusing more attention on Lucas, then it should free up other players a bit more. And I don't know, the midfield's not really been clicking for me recently. I think the use of support runners, that was a big danger in the first half of the season, was that it wasn't just Ciro Immobile at front, it was that there was always all these guys pouring in behind him to offer options. And Milinkovic-Savic for me is a big one. He's been fine, I'm not going to be too critical of him, but I just think he needs to really justify the hype. There's so much talk about him in the transfer market and how much he's worth, and we've seen the best of him. We all know he's a brilliant player, but I think he needs to really kind of use this moment to show that he is that extra quality, that we're missing. And recently he's drifted in and out of games, and we've seen good moments, we've seen bad moments. But I want to see him scoring more, to be honest. I think he's got the potential to score a lot more goals than he does.
Do you think he started performing badly since rumors of big transfer deals around him started to pop out from newspaper and websites? Because around January his performance started to dip, and it's when they talk about deal with Manchester United and so on.
Yeah, but I don't think any of those rumours in January were ever, there's never any real substance to them. So a move was never seriously going to happen in January for Milinkovic-Savic. I think for him, his focus has to be on being in the best form possible going into the World Cup this summer. Because if he is interested in a move away and a big move to one of these clubs that he's being linked with, then that's the time to show everybody, and he needs to be on top of his game for that. So I'm not convinced that at the moment his mind is too much there, because he's only quite recently signed a new contract with the club. All the comments that come out from his agent, Mattia Kesman, are all very positive about his relationship with Lazio and wanting to be a Lazio player. So I'm not too concerned that he's being distracted by that. But I just think, going back to my previous point, I just think because he's still a pretty young and inexperienced player, he's maybe one who's not quite so good at facing adversity, and he's not come across it too much before. So we do need him to step up in these times more than most players, because on his day, he's by far and away the best midfielder that Lazio have, and quite possibly the best midfielder in Serie A, like you've said before.
Yeah. Well, I said it. I said in Europe, not only in Serie A. But anyway,
Okay.
Are are you concerned that the team is too young to react to this bad moment?
Well, that kind of remains to be seen. I suppose that's the problem, is that we don't know, because this is, like I said before, this is the first really difficult situation they've been in. So I think we'll find out the answer to that question on Monday, because the difference with Monday is that that's a game that you're definitely expected to win. And you could say the same thing about tonight. You could maybe say the same thing about the Genoa game, but it's not quite the same as a team as poor as Hellas in 19th in the league at home. So I don't know. What do you think? Do you have a feeling that they're going to struggle?
I'm concerned. In the Lotito era, if you remember, in January always something happens and the team is not able to react. So something is different this season. I think the team is better than in the past. But this dip happened again. Now it's 4 losses in a row, which is concerning. And tonight I saw a team playing a little bit better, but not as better as I expected. So I am concerned. Honestly, I was thinking that a leader like Lucas Leiva could help, but he cannot do everything on his own, and other players have to step up, which didn't happen. Lukaku tonight could have changed the game. Basta could have changed the game. He didn't. So I'm concerned. Honestly, I'm concerned. But we're gonna see, as you said, we're gonna see in the next matches if this is a team.
I suppose the question is that this is a big test for Inzaghi as well. It's easy to forget sometimes, but he's a very inexperienced coach, and Inzaghi was mentioning after the Napoli game that this is the first time in his 2.5 years or so at Lazio that he's lost 3 games in a row, and he meant that to come across as a positive thing to kind of complement his record at the club, which it kind of does. But at the same time, it does show that he's in uncharted territory here. He's not been in this situation before. So this is as much a test of Inzaghi and how he can motivate the players, how he can use his own kind of form of psychology to get them to winning ways again, because this isn't an experience that he's been in before.
The good thing of Simone Inzaghi, and let's not forget it, is that he knows very, very, very well Lazio fan. He knows very, very, very well the Lazio atmosphere, and he has been there as a player, even in tough moments. So I believe he knows how to make fans react and the teams react. So I hope he knows what he have to do to make the team go back to the form of a couple of months ago. Of course, it's the first time as a manager, so things are going to be a little bit different. But I believe you're gonna see how good Inzaghi is as a manager. I mean, he already proved to be very good, but I believe the biggest difference and where Pioli failed is at the first big issue, he wasn't able to manage it and start making mistake after mistake. And instead of solving the problem, he created more and more problem. And at the end, he broke the toy, let's call it like that. Let's see if Inzaghi is different, if Inzaghi is able to fix the issue instead of creating other issue. And, I believe that the Felipe Anderson situation, he managed it very well. So that's a good start.
Yeah, I think that is a good start. And, managing within a week to have disciplined a player and get them back into the squad and seemingly happy enough is quite, it's quite an impressive thing to do. And, a polar opposite of what we've seen happen before with Lazio teams. But yeah, I just hope the one thing is for him to fix this issue, like you say. I just hope that doesn't mean sacrificing European football. Ideally, I would love us to be able to give 100% in every competition. And, Tare's comments about the focus being on the league and this being a secondary objective, that's all well and good, but it still doesn't really sit well with me. I still would like to see Lazio go as far as they can in the Europa League. And when you've got a draw against a team like Steaua Bucharest, from what I've seen tonight, I think that's an easily achievable result, is to win this tie. So we need to make sure we do. It's not a competition for a team like Lazio to turn its nose up at. I really think it should be taken quite seriously.
I totally agree. And the fact is, let's not forget that Lazio didn't won that many titles in Europe that you say, it's just another one. No, he won 2, so that would be the third one. So you should be focusing on that. And it's tough because there are a lot of big teams now in Europe League, but it's still a title, and I think it can be achievable. And let's not forget that Lazio in a single match beat Juventus. So, I believe that if they play at the top level, they can beat everybody. So I agree with you. It's important to play well in Europe, and that's why, for example, I don't like Sarri, because his Napoli should be able to win the Europe League easily. Instead, they're going out in the first round against Lipsia. So that's another thing I don't like at all. So yeah, that's disappointing. Again,
really big teams in this competition, so I think it would raise the profile of the club enormously to have success in it. So let's hope for that.
Yeah, and not only. Don't forget that the prize money of the Europe League has increased a lot in the last couple of years. Now, if you reach the quarterfinals, you get a lot of money, decent amount of money. And for a team like Lazio, that would be really, really important. So, don't do it only for the competition, do it for the money, for the budget for next season. So that's why teams should be trying to go further as possible in the Europe League. And so, changing a little bit, Ramel Gandhi says Inzaghi needs to change his ideas and thinking and needs to have a strong defense. What's your thought, Alistair?
Well, if he means by changing his ideas, changing the formation, then I've said before, I don't see that happening. I think he's pretty determined to stick with 3 at the back, and if that's ever going to happen, I would think it would be a kind of pre-season experiment rather than halfway through a season. I think the problems are that the players that are causing problems are kind of in their worst form at the same time. From looking at Bastos and Wallace, Bastos and Wallace are 2 players who've both played at a very good level for Lazio at the start of the season and promised to be kind of at a turning point back then, and that's worth not forgetting. I still think that this setup can provide more defensive stability than 4 at the back. I just think it puts a lot of pressure on Lucas at the moment to protect the defence, and I think the wing-backs we've got aren't necessarily the most defensively astute as well, which doesn't help. Lukaku and Marasic are very forward-thinking players. Senad Lulic has been criticised throughout his entire career at Lazio, pretty much for his defensive abilities. And Basta, well, you've already gone through Basta tonight.
I destroyed him, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think that's, for me, a kind of key thing in this setup, is that we need the wing-backs to contribute to the attacks in order to make this system a success, but they do need to be, it's so important for them to contribute defensively as well. I know things haven't been very good recently in defence, but I still don't think it's time to tear everything up and start again, basically, to answer that question.
No, I agree. I think it's too late in the season for changes. We didn't have the chance to talk, but I was surprised that Wallace started against Napoli. I mean, he wasn't playing that well, and in a very important match he starts. I was a little bit concerned, and I thought what you said last time, that you're scared that Inzaghi is trying to give time to play to everybody instead of picking all the time the best starting 11?
It was a huge surprise to put your most. I would put Wallace behind Bastos. In terms of potential for errors, I think Wallace for me is still higher than Bastos, and his own goal was absolutely extraordinary. I mean, there is no explanation for it other than a player who's completely short of confidence. Because why would you crash into the box and smash the ball into your own net with no striker around you? The goalkeeper is ready to collect the ball. I mean, the whole team collapsed after that, and it was hugely disappointing because that was basically the moment that lost Lazio the game effectively, and it would be harsh to say blame the entire defeat on Wallace, but it was very strange to have him playing in such a high-profile game at a point of the season when Lazio were struggling for form. So I don't know what it is. I don't know. I think continuity, consistency of selection is probably a good idea at this point, and I would like to see personally Inzaghi settle on Radu, Cáceres, De Vrij as a back three and just give them as much time as they can play without losing fitness.
Yeah, it could be an option. I mean, one of the secrets of Lazio in the best moment was that pretty much the same 11 was playing all the matches and they were playing really, really well. So maybe it's a time again to stick with the starting 11, go as far as possible, and then making subs for, injured players or suspended players and see what happens. Is that too risky?
No, I think that's quite a good way of doing it. I mean, the only shame really is that Luis Felipe is proving to be, one of the best defensive options we've got, like we've just said. But I think, do you think he should be given a chance in one of the kind of playing on the side of De Vrij? Do you think he could perhaps play in that right centre back slot instead of Bastos or Wallace and Cáceres?
I think he can.
I want to see this and see it now and suggesting this, but I don't know. I mean, he's been an impressive player, and so it'd be good to see him get into the team a bit more. And if you're going on form, he probably deserves it ahead of the likes of Wallace and Bastos. So
yeah, but
I don't know. That Rami's right. The defense is probably the most perplexing part of the team at the moment.
Yeah, but as we were saying, you stick with the starting 11, but then you have a bunch of players that can come in during the match or start in some matches, like Felipe Anderson, Felipe Luis could be one of that, Lukaku. I was hoping Nani to be one of them, but tonight he didn't convince me 100%. So, you have to have those 2-3 players that you can trust that can come in and don't affect badly the performance of the team. So it would make sense. By the way, talking about Nani, he didn't look very happy when he was subbed. Do you think we are going to another Felipe Anderson case?
Well, no, I mean, I remember Michael Damasio mentioned this when he was on our last show, he always looks unhappy, Nani. He always looks angry. He did look particularly angry when he got taken off today. He didn't even jog across the pitch. He just walked off the side and walked around, which I don't think is ever a good sign. I think his frustration, though, is probably just more as... the impression I get with him anyways, his frustration is probably more with himself than with the coaching, I mean, he will know, he's a very experienced player, he will know that he's not had a good game tonight, and he isn't really in a position to criticise the decision to substitute him because he wasn't playing well enough to stay on the pitch. And when you have options like Immobile and Anderson on the bench, you know that you have to play very well to actually finish in 90 minutes. I hope that he's not going to cause any problems, but he's not really had an awful lot of opportunities this season. So there might come a point where he just decides enough's enough and he wants to play more. I don't know, but he's not really justified playing more so far, I would say.
Well, I believe he made a case in some occasion, but playing near Casado is not playing near Ciro Immobile, for example. I think he need that type of thing. Playing near Luis Alberto would change him, giving more option, more opportunity. No?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I think, the impact he's made in limited time has been quite impressive, but it's just, I suppose, when he's given these opportunities to start, there's just so much pressure on him to actually be really impressive because they're so limited and the competition in those positions is so high now. There's 5 players for 2 roles, basically. So I think he is a good player at the moment. I would say he's still a good player to be able to bring on off the bench more than someone who should be starting every week.
I mean, what would we say now if Caicedo would have scored in the first half after the assist Nani made to Murja, or Milinkovic-Savic would have scored with a header instead of hitting the crossbar on the corner kick in the last half, in the last minute of the first half, from a corner from Nani, That would have changed the evaluation of the player, I believe.
Well, yeah, but you can also say we wouldn't have conceded a goal if it wasn't for his free kick, which was wildly inaccurate and went behind everybody in the box and set up the counter-attack. So, I don't know. And also, if one of your what-if scenarios involves Caicedo scoring, then you've gone too far.
Okay, well, we're going to see what happens on Monday. Luckily, Lazio has a couple of days to prepare this match that is going to be really important. Not because Lazio is playing against a very tough team, but after 4 defeats in a row, it's time to show up and start performing well and get the 3 points back. Even because last time we talked, Lazio was 3rd, now it's 5th, so out of the Champions League. For me, it's going to be really hard to get back there, but if you want to have a chance, you have to start winning against Verona.
Well, it's still in our own hands because we still have to play both Inter and Roma. So it's not one of these situations where we're relying on other results. If we turn on the form now, get back to where we were, and we get results in those games against those 2 teams, then we're still in a very good position. There's enough time left in this season not to just give up hope on the Champions League completely. It's still very much within our reach.
Okay, Alistair, can we wrap it up here?
We can. I'll let you get back to your recovery.
Okay, thank you very much. And let's hope that next time we talk, Lazio finally have won a match.
Yeah, hope so.
Thank you very much, Alistair, and thanks everybody for listening to our podcast. We're going to be back Monday night after Lazio Verona. Bye, Alistair.
Cheers. See you next time.